The Blue Eyes White Dragon, the most iconic card in the history of Yu-Gi-Oh! Released all the way back in 2002, it embodies so much of what we love about the game. But it hasn't always been a competitive strategy. Fast forward to 2025 and the release of the Blue Eyes White Destiny structure deck, which will give Blue Eyes another chance to dominate competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! Once again. In this series, I start with 3 Blue Eyes White Destiny structure decks and a budget of $25 a week. Using only this and my entry packs, I'll attempt to build a top tier deck and compete in some of Yu-Gi-Oh!'s biggest tournaments. Welcome to the Yu-Gi-Oh! Budget Challenge Season 2. How's it going, everyone, and welcome back to the next episode of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Budget Challenge. Last week we had our first experience at Locals where we brought 3 Blue Eyes White Destiny structure decks and we performed kind of poorly, and that's kind of to be expected. The deck is very good, the combos make a lot of sense, but we're just missing some more ancillary pieces that are going to make our strategy that much better. So today we're going to be doing a few different things. We're going to be having a bunch of duels on the channel today, but we're also going to be having our first upgrades to the strategy. Our budget is going to be, of course, $25 per episode. However, because we're going to an in-person Locals today, we're going to be taking out $5 from our budget and allotting that to our Locals entry fee so we can pay for our entry packs and so on. So we're gonna have $20 to spend, and there's a lot of different ways we can go with this. We can start building up our hand trap lineup with board breakers as well, and make sure we have some really good going second cards and side deck staples too, or we can start building out our strategy to create a different type of deck. Do we go with a different engine, or do we decide to go with the more non-engine? What is it going to be? So if you're excited for the video and to see what we do next in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Budget Challenge, then make sure to smash the like button and of course subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. But with that being said, let's take a look at some of the cards we're going to pick up for episode number 3. Alright, so with our first set of upgrades, we have $25, 5 of which are going to be dedicated to our entry fee at Locals today. And I am very pleased to announce we made some huge upgrades to the strategy. We managed to pick up 17 brand new cards, each of which will have a home in our main or extra or side deck. Starting off, we have, of course, in my opinion, one of the most important cards to pick up for the strategy, which is going to be a copy of Bestial Magnemite. We got this for $4 here. This is the most expensive card, I believe, or the second most expensive card we're picking up today. Super critical to get us additional hand advantage, but also really good at interruption as well, and great in the mirror match. To pair with our Magnemite, we have the 1 copy of the Bestial Baldrake, the common version. The ultra rare is like $5, the common is 50 cents. However, I can only find a single copy of the common, so I'm looking for 2 more to be able to round out our playset because I don't think getting copies of Duels is going to be very likely for our strategy. That being said, we can also go ahead and add in a few other really powerful side deck cards. Most notably, we have 3 copies of Artifact Lancia. We have the Ultras from Duel Devastator here. These are about 50 cents each, and having these for Malice is super important because Malice is a really big part of my local scene, so I want to have access to Lancia for this week. I wanted to have it last week, but hey, it didn't work out that way. That being said, phenomenal card. We also have 3 copies of Droll and Lockbird as well. These are the commons. I believe they're from the Fire King structure deck, if I'm not mistaken. These ones are about, I ended up paying 50 cents a piece for them as well. And again, for this kind of budget, we're looking really good. We have 8 new hand traps here as additional interruption for some strategies, and we have paid, honestly, like $7, which is amazing. That being said, again, these cards are great, but we have to have other options in our side deck, so we have 3 copies of Dimensional Barrier, one of the side deck cards of the format. Really good against the Rizal decks running around. If I can shut down their ability to get to King of the Pharaoh Imps, if they're on the Mitsurugi version or the Duo Drive or Detonator, I should be in a really good position to try and win a game, so I want to have the Dimensional Barrier for sure. Also, because I didn't really know what else I want to get, and I saw that these cards were pretty cheap, I want to pick them up now, I decided to pick up 3 copies of Crossout. These are the Ultras from Rarity 2, and I felt like having the Ultras from Rarity 2 and just having Crossouts in general was really good because we can play so much non-engine, and our engine is kind of good right now. I don't really want to get rid of the Neo Kaiser Seahorses just yet, and I feel like I want to play a bit more pure Blue Eyes until I can then decide upon a secondary engine I put into the deck, because right now we have so many different options we can go down. We can go down a Dragon Link version of the deck, we can play the Red Dragon Archfiend version, we can play Invoked, we can play Bestial. There's so many different options you can go with, and I want to just play the pure version a bit longer. And I felt having Crossout was kind of a necessity for this episode because we can now protect ourselves from Droll and from Nibiru and from Ash on our wishes, etc. It's just a really great card. I'm sure you all remember as well, we picked up last week the Ether Barrel, and after looking at the comments, they were so vastly in favor of using the Ether Barrel. So I will be playing this copy of Ether Barrel, but I was able to pick up a copy of Primite Drill Beam, which can be used for a negate. So we're gonna have a little mini 2-card engine here with the Primite Dragon Ether Barrel and the Drill Beam. So essentially, the Drill Beam is gonna be a recurring negate, which is nice. It only really works if we can get our Ether Barrel online, but if we have Magnamut or Ether Barrel, or even to a lesser extent Seals, then we can get to Ether Barrel if we really need to, so I'm not too concerned about it. And then Drill Beam can recycle itself as well. I really want to have this card. It's also going to be really good in the mirror match because we can always just cross out the Drill Beam, which can allow us to just win a game on the spot. So that's why we have the Drill Beam here. Again, really solid. I don't think there's going to be anything else happening as part of the Primite engine. I'm pretty confident though that I want to get Primite Roar or Howl. I forget which one it is. It's the one that summons from the deck and like costs 2,000 life points to do. I think that would be a really good addition as well, but it's like $1 or $2 at the time of recording this, and it's just a bit over our $20 limit for our cards for this week. That being said, we do have 2 extra deck cards here. We have the one Lina Light Charmer Lustrous. This is a great card. We can use it to summon out our opponent's detonators from the graveyard, or our opponent's copies of Maiden, for example. Just anything really threatening would be really good to have with Lina. It also, if it's destroyed, lets us search for Maiden or Sage, which can then just allow us to go full combo. And we also have the one Black Rose Moonlight Dragon. So in general, this is going to be basically our full $20 budget. It's $19.76 is the number that I came up with after all the costs. We're just going to call it $20 and call it even. But these are going to be our upgrades for this week. That being said, let's go ahead and jump into the deck profile. So with all of our upgrades, our new deck is looking like this. We have 3 copies of Sage with Eyes of Blue, still our best starter. We're still rocking with 3 copies of Maiden of White. Again, phenomenal card that we're searching with Sage. We have 3 Neo Kaiser Seahorse. It is a 1-card combo thanks to the Link 1. Basically, you're going to be able to use this to link it off into your copy of the Spirit with Eyes of Blue to then dump the Maiden to the graveyard, use Mausoleum to be able to target the Spirit, send to Blue Eyes, then use Spirit to bring back the Blue Eyes, which will then bring back the Maiden, which you can then send to graveyard to get True Light. So it ends up being a full 1-card combo thanks to that. And I think any deck should be playing this right now, assuming you don't have like a full Primite engine. We are playing 2 copies of the OG Blue Eyes as well as the 1 Blue Eyes Jet Dragon. I think 2 copies of Blue Eyes is fine. I was debating playing a 3rd as the 40th card in the deck, but I don't want to brick, and I think bricking is going to be a major factor. And Jet Dragon is good for some really corner cases and can just really be good to get an extra buy that we continue to get access to turn over turn. Additionally, we are playing the 1 copy of Primite Dragon Ether Barrel that we pulled from our entry pack last time around. And then we are also playing the 1 copy of Primite Drill Beam that we did manage to pick up for today's episode. Just adding these 2 cards in the deck. I know that Drill Beam is kind of a useless card if we don't have exactly Ether Barrel to search it or a Blue Eyes in rotation, but that's pretty common to get. So even if we just happen to draw the Drill Beam, it acts as a negate anyway, so I want to have access to it as well because getting Blue Eyes is pretty easy to do. Additionally, Ether Barrel gives us another level 4 or lower dragon monster, so we can use that to summon out our Link 1, which will get us into the rest of our plays. Just really happy we managed to pull this card even at 1 copy. For now, we're going to play it in the strategy. That's going to be it for our main monster starters. We're going to go ahead and move on to our spell cards. We, of course, have the 3 copies of Wishes, Suprise of Blue. Again, this is a 1.5 card starter and combo for us. It's really good. Just the fact that it's a searchable for any level 1 light tuner is phenomenal, and then getting a Blue Eye spell is obviously great as well. I am playing 2 copies of Roar. I want to cut this down to 1, but I needed a 40th card in the deck, and I think this was the best option for me based on our limited budget. I am the 1 copy of Mausoleum of White that is searchable from our Link 1, as well as True Light and Majesty of the White Dragon. True Light is the way we are able to win games because of the constant advantage it provides us, and Majesty is great disruption as well. We can use it to pop up to 2 cards because we're playing 2 normal monsters, 2 normal Blue Eyes specifically. And that's it for the engine. It ends up being a pretty sizable amount of engine cards in the strategy, but honestly, I feel like if you're not playing a good amount of engine, we're going to brick so much, and that's the problem with Blue Eyes, just bricks a good bit. As for our non-engine, we're playing 3 copies of Imperm, as well as 3 copies of Ash, 3 Valor, 3 Nib as the main hand traps. All these come in the structure deck. We're also playing the 1 Bestial Magnamut and the 1 Bestial Baldrake as well we picked up. We're playing the 1 copy of Call by the Grave, and we have 3 Crossout Designator as well to round out our deck. That's 40 cards. I think Crossout is great here. It's good for cards that we have in the side deck as well, but I also feel like I don't want to lose to Nibiru at all, and Bestials can be a bit of a problem, so I want to have Crossout as a backup for those things. And depending on the hand, obviously Imperm can be a bit of a problem, so I want to have Crossout for those cards as well. It might be a mistake, but for the price that we paid for them, I'm not mad having Crossout in the strategy at all. Moving on though to our extra deck, we have pretty much the same extra deck going on right now. Nothing has changed too drastically. We are playing, instead of 3 Spirit, we're playing 2 Spirit now. We were able to cut one of them for some additional extra deck cards. We have 2 Seals. We're able to recycle the Spirit if we need to, and the Seal with copies of Ultimate Fusion, which are in our side deck. We have the new addition being Line of the Light Charmer. I really felt having this card here would be really good because it allows us to play into boards very effectively. If we end up in a board against like a Rizal Detonator, we can always use the effect to reborn back a Rizal monster, and we can just crash into the Detonator, for example, and be able to get a search for something like Maiden, which can let us get our plays online. That's going to be it though for our links, just 5 link monsters for now. We have the 3 copies of Spirit Dragon, the OG Spirit Dragon. Again, this is a bit much, but I think for the time being, I just don't have many other choices, so I want to have 3. I'm playing 2 of the Ultimate Spirit Dragon because I want to have access to them when I use the effect from Spirit Dragon, and potentially getting a double Ultimate Spirit Dragon can be really nice. And the 1 Black Rose Moonlight Dragon as well that we picked up as another target to summon off of the Spirit Dragon. Eventually I want to get Lightstorm Dragon in this deck, but I just didn't manage to pull it in my entry pack last week, and I'm hoping that I can pull it today at locals. And then we have 2 copies of Tyrant Dragon and 2 copies of Ultimate Dragon. Now, this card is going to be great because we can obviously have the targeting protection, but Blue Eyes Tyrant Dragon rather is going to be awesome to be able to recycle our trap cards, and we can still make the double Tyrant Dragon because of the Ultimate Fusion, which is going to be in our side deck. As for the side deck, we have the triple copies of Ultimate Fusion. Great card, be able to get over some really problematic cards. It can pop cards on the field if we use the Blue Eyes. We can't obviously make the Ultimate Dragon, but we can make Tyrant Dragon, which can recycle our resources as well. We have the 2 extra copies of Majesty as well. This is going to be there as a good going first tool because we're lacking on good going first tools. Last week we played against a deck that was playing Tempai Striker, so I wanted to have 1 Ultimate Creature of Destruction as just a way to survive. If I manage to have a really poor end board and I can just establish this plus a Blue Eyes, I know I'll survive the turn, which is going to be really nice. I'm then playing 3 copies of Artifact Lancia for Malice, 3 copies of Droll for the Mitsurugi and Rizal decks, and just any rogue running around as well, and honestly even Blue Eyes, and then 3 copies of Dimensional Barrier, just a good catch-all going first Floodgate against a lot of different strategies in the deck, in the format right now. So that's going to be our list for this week. I'm feeling pretty good about how it's going to go. It's a lot of upgrades to this list compared to where we were before we started this series, and it just goes to show that $20 or $25 really can go a long way once you have these 3 structure decks because it's that good of a deck. But that's enough talk, so let's go ahead and head on over to locals. Before we get into the duels, we have a couple of entry packs, and the entry packs today were not very good. We get 1 pack of Suda and 1 pack of OTS 27. What I'm really hoping for is to get the Ulti Sage in the OTS, but I really just want a copy of Lightstorm Dragon, which would be immediately entered into our deck. But we aren't as lucky as we were last week. Anyways, we have 4 rounds of locals today and 1 remote duel with a member of the community. Round 1 we played against Milan on Rizal Mitsurugi, picking right back up where we left off last week. In game 1 I have Valor and Nibiru to force him to end on a Nib token and I can OTK, but game 2 was long and grindy and he took it. And in game 3 he definitely would have won if we didn't go into time, so we start off with a draw. In round 2 we played against Sword Soul, but I didn't get my opponent's permission to record for the video. We ended up winning 2-0 thanks to being able to use Imperm in the column for deck lockdown, which got us the win. Round 3 though is our first feature match of the day and is going to be against Jose on Blue Eyes Primite. He's also new to the deck but actually has the full engine. He wins the dice roll and goes first. He starts with Lordly Load to grab Drill Beam, then uses Wishes, discarding Blue Eyes to get Sage and Roar. He normals Sage and I use Valor to prevent Maiden access. He links for Spirit to grab Mausoleum, then activates Roar to special Blue Eyes and uses Spirit to summon another Blue Eyes from the graveyard and sets 1 while passing turn. I start my turn with a normal summon of Sage and he activates Drill Beam, which thankfully I have the Crossout for. My Sage resolves and I grab Maiden, which then gets me to True Light. I link for Spirit to add Mausoleum and use my additional normal summon on a second Sage to pick up Valor. I use Roar to summon Blue Eyes from the deck, then link Spirit and Blue Eyes for Spheres. I use True Light to set Wishes, activating it, discarding another Wishes, but he ashes it. I link my Sage for a second Spirit, and I use the effect to special a Blue Eyes, which summons Maiden back. I banish Wishes to equip the Fusion monster, and tribute Blue Eyes for Tyrant Dragon. I activate Mausoleum, targeting Maiden, then I chain Maiden to summon out another Blue Eyes. I enter battle phase, clear the field with Tyrant Dragon, and attack for 3000 with Blue Eyes and 800 for Maiden. In main 2, I synchro for Spirit Dragon and pass turn with a Valor in hand. During his main phase, Jose normal summons Ether Barrel using the effect to set Lordly Load. He links for Spirit and I trigger Spheres to bounce it back to hand and summon out the Magnamut, and he just scoops. He starts again in game 2 with a normal summon of Sage, which I imperm. I do not want him getting access to True Light, so I want to cut him off of getting to Maiden. He links for Spirit and gets Mausoleum using the effect to send a Blue Eyes and specials it out with Spirit. Then he sets 3 cards and passes turn. I have a pretty awkward hand, but it still is technically full combo. I normal summon Neo Kaiser Seahorse and link for Spirit, chain 1 Spirit, chain 2 Seahorse. I mill Blue Eyes and add Mausoleum. I use the Maiden effect in hand to activate True Light from the deck, but he uses Called By, which I'm not really that mad about because it's just in my hand. I activate the Spirit Dragon to summon out the Blue Eyes and beat over his Blue Eyes, which triggers his Jet Dragon in hand. I set 3 cards, which are Drill Beam, Imperm, and True Light, and pass turn. But in end phase, he activates his own True Light to special back his Blue Eyes. He then normal summons Sage and I Imperm, which I think was a mistake. He can't really do anything with Maiden anyways, so why am I that scared? He then activates True Light, which I can Drill Beam, negate, and banish, but he has his own copy of Drill Beam, which negates and banishes my Drill Beam. He sets Roar and activates it to special summon another Blue Eyes. He then synchros for Spirit Dragon, enters battle, and attacks with Jet Dragon. Because it can bounce any card I control, I activate the True Light to set from the deck, but in damage step, he bounces back the Blue Eyes and he attacks my life points directly. We actually weren't really sure how this works, because the number of attack targets changed during the damage step. So does a replay occur? Can he attack directly with a Jet Dragon? I still don't really know if that was a legal play, but we said it was. And if you know if it is a legal play or not, let me know down in the comments. But that play gave him lethal. In game 3, I get to go first and I set up a nasty end board. I start with Wishes, discarding Wishes, and he ashes me, but I have the Called By. I grab Sage and Majesty. I normal summon Sage and grab Maiden, which gets me to True Light. I link for Spirit to get Mausoleum, and I use True Light to set Roar and use the effect to summon Blue Eyes. Wishes for the equip, and then I special Neo Kaiser Seahorse. I use Mausoleum targeting the Spirit, and then Spirit to summon out Blue Eyes and Maiden to summon herself. I use Kaiser targeting the Maiden and chain the Maiden to summon Sage. I link Seahorse and Blue Eyes for Seals and Synchro for Spirit Dragon, set 2 and pass turn. And yes, I know that's the wrong Spirit Dragon on the field, we caught the error. He starts off with Ultimate Slayer targeting my Spirit Dragon, and because I can't respond with monster effects, I can't banish my Blue Eyes from the graveyard to negate it. But what I can do is activate True Light and then chain the effect of the Spirit Dragon to tribute it so it's no longer on the field and summon out my upgraded Spirit Dragon. Because of that, Ultimate Slayer resolves without effect. He then attempts to imperm my Synchro, which I negate with the Fusion Monster in the graveyard. Jose let me know that he was considering negating the seals, but he wasn't as concerned with the bounce, he was more concerned with the targeting negates. Anyways, he activates Maiden for True Light and then uses the True Light effect, which I Drill Beam, and he scoops. His last 2 cards in hand were Ash and Wishes, which I would just negate with the Ultimate Spirit Dragon. So that's a 2-1 win in round 3. The last feature match today though is going to be up against Peter on Sword Soul Tenyi. This is for first place at Locals. He wins the dice roll, goes first and special summons Adhara, normal summons Taya, and special summons Saruya. He synchros for Baxia and uses the graveyard effect of Saruya and Taya. Paying 4,000 life points, he summons out Sahashara, Sharahasha, I don't know, the link for Tenyi he summons out. He also mills Ashuna with Taya. Then he synchros for Chowfeng, and now I can't activate any light monster effects, and my hand is full of light monsters. It's like double Sage, Maiden, Majesty, and Seahorse. My only hope is to draw exactly Imperm, but he plays it out and ends with the Ice Jade Synchro as well. I set 3 cards, pass turn, and while I do survive, it's not enough to allow me to get back into the game. Chowfeng is just way too strong. Game 2, I get to go first. I start with Maiden for True Light, then use Wishes, sending Wishes for Sage and Majesty. I use True Light to set Roar and normal Sage, grabbing Baylor. I then use Roar to special, which lets me summon out Maiden as well. I equip the Fusion Monster, then link for Spirit to grab Mausoleum, which he Valors. That ruins my plans just a little bit, so I just synchro for Spirit Dragon, set 1 and pass turn. He draws for turn and uses Long Wand, sending Vishuda. On resolution, I use Majesty to pop the Long Wand and I activate Magnamut to banish the Vishuda. He specials Saruya, sets 1 and passes turn. In the end phase, I use True Light to special Blue Eyes, then Magnamut gets me Ether Barrel and I draw for turn, normal barrel, setting Drill Beam, and I use Spirit to summon out the Blue Eyes from my hand. I banish my second copy of Wishes to equip another Neo Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon and tribute for Tyrant Dragon. I move everything to attack position and attempt to enter battle phase, and in main phase he negates the Tyrant Dragon, which I negate for some reason with the Fusion Monster in graveyard, completely forgetting it was immune to trap cards in the first place, and I just swing for lethal anyways. Game 3 is a weird one. He starts with Emergence to get Long Wand, special summons Ashuna, and links for Monk. He then uses Long Wand, sending another Ashuna to graveyard and summons out the Ice Jade monster, then uses Ashuna for Nahata, which I didn't know was a card. He specials Saruya and synchros for Mula Adhara, which lets him get the field spell, which eventually gets him Heavenly Circle and in turn, Protos. He summons it out, declares Light, and passes turn. I start my turn by activating Maiden to set True Light. I use the True Light effect, which he uses the Ice Jade to banish, but I'm just the best player in the game because I hard opened the one of Drill Beam and a Blue Eyes, which lets me resolve my True Light and banish his Ice Jade monster. I set Wishes, discarding Blue Eyes and get Sage and Majesty. I normal Sage and search for Valor, set 3 cards, and pass turn. In main phase, he activates Protos, calling Light, and I Valor that. Then he normals Moye for no effect. At this point, we are so close to time being called, so to prevent any extra deck shenanigans, I summon out my Baldrake by banishing his Saruya. He enters battle phase and attacks into Sage with Protos, which is fine with me because I activate my Majesty to pop the negated Protos. Moye then beats over my Sage for 1700 damage, and now he's up by 2900 life points. Still in battle phase though, I use my True Light to summon out Blue Eyes and therefore Maiden. In main phase 2, he uses the field spell to pop my Baldrake. He passes back to me with less than 1 minute on the clock. I use Wishes on the Blue Eyes and Tribute for Tyrant Dragon, link into Sage to get Mausoleum, use Spirit for Blue Eyes and therefore Maiden. This is 4 summons and time is about to be called, so I enter battle phase and swing to take the life point lead and win the match. Now I am super happy for Peter though, because this was his best performance at locals so far and he's gotten so much better in such a short amount of time. But we had a 3-0-1 record at locals tonight, which is good enough for first place. But I have one more quick duel to showcase. This one is against Eggman in the Discord server. He's on Millennium, so we have Kaiba versus Grandpa, a real anime duel. He wins the dice roll and I open up with a lot of hand traps, but I couldn't stop him from getting to Exodia and the trap card. He smokes me game 1. And in game 2, I still don't have Maiden or Sage, so I can't really play through any hand traps, and I pass turn with a lackluster board. He's easily able to break it with Shifter and the Exodia cards and passes to me with no resource left, and he's got the win. Thank you Eggman for the duel, and thank you for being part of this community. If any of you want the chance to duel me in a remote duel for this series, then join the Discord server. But with that being said, we did get first place at locals, which means we have some prizing. So we're back from locals, and we got first place. 4 rounds of locals today. 3-0-1 record is amazing and ends up getting us not 1, not 2, but 3 packs for prizing, 2 OTS 27 and 1 Suda pack. Our Suda packs so far haven't been great. There's one particular card I'm looking for from Suda right now that's in the common slot, and we haven't pulled it yet out of our first 2 packs. Hopefully we can get it now. So we're gonna go ahead and just open up these packs. We're gonna start off with the OTS 27 packs. In this case, let's see if we can get an ulti. It's gonna be a, Gruesome Grave Squirmer with a couple of Crystron or Speedroid cards. Moving on, second OTS pack. What's it gonna be? Anything interesting? Token. And again, 2 more cards we don't really need. So the OTS packs were duds. It is what it is. And let's see, Suda. What can we get from Suda? We are looking for Light Storm Dragon, a Synchro Common Monster. Nothing here. Nothing here. Nothing here. We got another Ultra. That's pretty good. Not a Synchro monster we want, but it's an Ultra. Nothing there. Nothing there. Nothing there. Oh my god. Where is Light Storm Dragon? Where is Light Storm Dragon when you need it? Well, look, I can't complain. We got an Ultra out of our packs. It's not an Ultra that we can actually take advantage of it all, but hey, it is what it is. Anyways, that being said, let's just go ahead and talk about the rest of the series and what we're going to be doing going forward, because there's quite a bit of things that we can go ahead and do. So our entry packs and our prizing pulls weren't really all that helpful. We still want to pull a copy of Lightstorm Dragon. I really am just adamant about not buying that card because it's 15 cents and we're going to be getting Suda packs for the foreseeable future, but I just don't know why I haven't seen it so far in 3 or 4 packs of Suda right now. That being said though, we do have a lot of room for upgrades for the next couple of weeks. I feel really good about where the deck is right now and how it's going to be moving forward. Obviously, we didn't go undefeated today, but I do believe that's going to be coming up soon. If you want a chance to be featured in this video, by the way, by joining me in a remote duel setting, then make sure to join the Discord server. The link is down in the description. I plan to duel as many people as possible. I want to do an episode where I only do remote duels, which is going to be really exciting for a few reasons. The first of which is that I get the chance to play against so many of you, and that'd be really cool to be able to meet new people, get the chance to play other decks that I wouldn't have had the opportunity to play against at locals, so it really gives me a good opportunity to try that out. But additionally, it gives me the chance to play other decks at locals, and I felt like last season with the Fire King version of this challenge, I did get burnt out quite a bit because I felt like I had to play Fire King only, and it made things kind of difficult because I want to try other strategies out, and I get that opportunity as well by doing this. So now I'm going to have some remote duels with you guys, and I'm going to have the chance to play a different version of the deck or a different version of a different strategy at locals in paper. That being said, we're going to have $25 to upgrade our deck in the next episode, so make sure to let me know down in the comments what your favorite part of today's episode was and what suggestions you have for what cards I should pick up in the future. Leave a like if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel for more. Thank you for watching, I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you all next time.